YouTube frogs, welcome back to another YELAN video. You guys have seen the title. I've decided to separate weapon comparisons from the main guide into a dedicated video. I'll be cataloging all the possible choices we currently have and balancing their stats to give a holistic comparison of how all of these weapons compare with each other. I'll be using the data from this video to select my recommended choices for the upcoming completed guide. This way, I can cut the testing footage from the guide and just simply refer to this video instead. It'll help tremendously with flow. And yes, this video will include the newest Fading Twilight bow at R180 available from the newest event released in 2.7. Let's dive into it. So, the weapon layout. We have a multitude of weapons 3-star all the way to 5-star that I'll be showcasing in this video. All of these weapons that I'll be mentioning are in some way valuable to use on her. 3-star Raven Bow, Slingshot, Recurve Bow. For the 4-star weapons, we have Iridescent, Blackcliff, Alley Hunter at R5, Stringless at R5, Moon's Bow at R5, Sacrificial, and Favonius. And of course, the event weapon, Fading Twilight. For 5-star, we have Elegy, Skyward Harp, and Aqua Simulacra at R180. And additionally, an extra comparison for these R590 weapons that I do not have an R180 version for. Skyward Harp again, Thundering Pulse, and Polar Star. For each of these weapons, I'll be trying my best to equalize my YELAN stats. If you haven't already, so it would be a great time to familiarize yourself with my recommendations for build paths in my C0 first look video. Link in the description. I'll be running 4-piece emblem set and prioritizing between 160 to 200% recharge before balancing HP percent, hydro/burst damage, and crit damage. For every weapon, relevant stats will be displayed accordingly. The Hydro Burst damage will combine Goblet and Emblem and any weapon stats. Here are some assumptions for the damage comparison. We'll be comparing a minimal damage YELAN, assuming that she'll be off-field for her burst, so none of her Ascension 4 passive will assist her. And then we have 1 elemental skill worth of damage alongside 12 hits of her elemental burst. First up, 3-star weapons. Raven Bow provides damage against Hydro or Pyro-afflicted enemies, granting a near universal 24% additional damage bonus. And a little bit of extra elemental mastery as well for the occasional vaporize. Slingshot provides an actually high amount of crit rate on its secondary stat, making it a viable weapon choice with really good stat distribution. Mine comes out to a clean 90 crit rate and a 196.9 crit damage. It's easy to build, and better when your artifacts are weaker. Raven Bow for me is stronger because my artifacts already provide so much crit value. Recurve Bow, the extremely powerful underdog for one reason. It's one of 2 bows that currently grants HP percent as a secondary/passive stat. Aqua Simulacra is the other one. This allows for a really nice distribution of stats, and I can opt for a Goblet with Hydro damage instead of HP percent. This allows the 3 main sources of DPS to be much more balanced. HP at above 25k, crit damage at 180, and Hydro Burst at over 90% including Emblem. The damage speaks for itself. Iridescent provides an almost equivalent amount of crit rate as a Slingshot. You'll notice the damage is identical to the Slingshot. Since both of these weapons provide only crit rate as a relevant stat, their crit damage values are identical. This actually means that Slingshot is better than Iridescent due to its higher crit rate for more consistency. This is also a direct example of how base attack is completely useless on her. Blackcliff, even weaker than any of the weapons mentioned so far, only provides crit damage and no HP percent or Hydro Burst damage bonus. Provides a lower crit value of this crit damage as well in comparison to the Iridescent or the Slingshot. This is the weakest of all the weapons compared in this video. Okay, moving on to 4-star burst/all damage bonus weapons. These weapons allow for better distribution of stats and justify HP percent Goblet much more than the previous weapons we've compared. Alley Hunter provides 40% all damage bonus as long as the character is off-field. It works great for sub-DPS YELAN, who's mostly off-field. Stringless. This is our standard burst damage based weapon with extra elemental mastery and skill damage bonus. Slightly higher values of 48% over Alley Hunter, which is reflected in all the damage sources. Moon's Moon, for lack of better pronunciation. This is our Inazuma released burst damage bonus weapon. It's contingent on the team's energy though. In this demonstration, I've included team members that total up the energy to 300, which allows the bow to grant 72% burst damage to YELAN. 70 from YELAN, 60 from Mona, 90 energy Raiden, and 80 energy Beidou. This bow only grants burst damage bonus, so you'll notice that the elemental skill damage is far lower. However, the overall damage is the highest that we've seen so far. Now onto 4-star recharge weapons. These are also great synergistic weapons that provide just enough recharge alongside 2-piece emblem to mostly satisfy her energy needs. Our artifacts can then be strictly DPS based, going HP percent timepiece, Hydro Goblet, and crit rate mask. So, Sacrificial up first. This allows a potential reset of her elemental skill cooldown at an 80% chance. If it does connect, the extra elemental skill proc adds quite a bit of damage to her total calculation. Favonius Warbow, one of the few weapons available for free at some point during the main questline, and has a great synergy with a solid 55.9 recharge at just level 80. On top of providing team energy from its passive, this is a hugely self-sufficient weapon for YELAN even in solo Hydro situations. Fading Twilight. This is the new event bow released in 2.7. Grants the same recharge as Sacrificial, and additionally has extra damage percent that rotates every 7 seconds. On average, you can expect the middle value, 10% at R1 or 20% at R5. Since everyone playing during 2.7 can get this weapon to R5 for free, this becomes one of the strongest free options available to her. Now onto the 5-star weapons. We have Elegy for the End. This is a great energy recharge bow that doubles as a team support bow with the Elemental Mastery transfer. This is also very easy to activate as well. The damage is as you would expect for an energy recharge weapon. Skyward Harp. This weapon is used strictly for its crit rate, crit damage, stat stick, and nothing else. It's only slightly better than the 4-star crit rate, crit damage option since it does provide both. This is expectedly weaker than the energy recharge or hydro burst damage based weapons. Aqua's Simulacra. This is the signature bow providing HP percent, all damage bonus as long as nearby enemies, and massive crit damage. It's perfect for YELAN, and the damage speaks for itself. And additionally, here's some extra comparisons for these R5 95-star weapons that I don't have an R1 equivalent for. All of these are crit-based weapons, so they're mostly just a better version of the 4-star crit options. We'll use the Skyward Harp as a connected comparison since I also have an R180 version of it. So, R5 Skyward Harp. The base attack doesn't matter here. We have a little bit of extra crit rate since we're level 90 instead of 80, and the crit damage is plus 20% over R1. Thundering Pulse. So, only the crit damage is useful here. Honestly, would not recommend using because it's a waste of the attack percent and the normal attack damage buff that would be insane for those type of DPS characters. Polar Star. This is actually a decently solid choice because on top of the massive crit rate that it grants, it also provides a little bit of elemental skill and burst damage. And that is a beautiful 16 weapons that have some relevance to improving YELAN's DPS output. Notice the simplicity behind Recurve Bow topping the charts due to being a rare HP percent secondary stat bow. Slap a standard energy recharge hydro crit rate main stat pieces to hit about 160 to 200% recharge, and you've got a really cost-effective built YELAN. In general, avoid the crit-based weapons. Since your artifacts will be providing this crit value, there's a lot more strength in the other categories of weapons. They came out to being 10 to 15% weaker than the other categories. Star rarity also doesn't really matter for YELAN, since star rarity correlates to base attack, which she doesn't use at all. Between energy recharge versus hydro or burst damage based weapons, energy recharge weapons I find much easier to build around. Combined with 2-piece emblem set, the energy recharge weapons satisfy energy requirements with minimal energy recharge substats. Then the main stat can be standard HP Hydro DPS lineup with HP Timepiece, Hydro Goblet, and a crit rate mask. On average, the energy recharge weapons came out at about 6% stronger than the Hydro burst damage based weapons. And don't worry if you don't have any of them. Fading Twilight is available for free from the 2.7 event. As for the 5-star weapons, Elegy and Aqua Simulacra are obvious choices. Aqua came out at nearly 10% stronger than the other competitors. Skyward Harp and Polar Star are still okay. Thundering Pulse is also fine, but it's a really big waste of the weapons potential. And that should wrap it up. All possible potential weapons that could benefit YELAN compared in a practical manner with balanced stats. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like if it assisted your YELAN building, and as always, we'll see you next time. Take care.